Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Movie Reviews with Baby Lane. I'm Nick Moffat and this is Baby Lane. So this is a new show that I'm starting where we're going to review movies that I've watched with Lane. And I first want to say that the format of watching the movie with Lane isn't necessarily ideal for, watching movies. Like, first of all, Lane doesn't really watch the movies. She hangs out with us. We have the chair turned facing the other direction, so she sometimes sits in her chair and watches us or plays with her toys or falls asleep. And sometimes I hold her and, jiggle her around or walk around with her. And, so that doesn't mean, it means that we don't have the movie on, like, in the pitch black, sound up, like, it's not a theater experience. This is a watching movies with Lane experience. And that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be talking about the movie. We're going to be just kind of reviewing it. And, if you don't have any interest in the movie that we're watching, at least you can sit here and hang out and see Lil Lane and, hang out with her for a couple minutes. Yeah, the mic looks pretty good, right? Yeah, all right. So the first movie that we're going to review that we watched last night was called Force Majeure. It's kind of a random choice because it came out in 2014. It's a French film. Basically, I chose to watch Force Majeure because it was on my... I made a list at the beginning of 2018 of 100 movies that I was going to watch before the end of the year. And Force Majeure was one of them. And basically, the microphone looks pretty tasty, doesn't it? Yeah, alright, so... Force Majeure, Force Majeure was my 96th movie, so I'm 96% done with my 2018 unwatched list. It's kind of a really random choice, and it was kind of hard to watch a movie with subtitles with Lane, but, we got through it. I'm going to read the plot summary here real quick from IMDb. A family vacationing in the French Alps is confronted with a devastating avalanche. So, I knew that this movie had an avalanche in it, and I knew that it was about family on vacation. I didn't really know much else, and so I kind of assumed it was going to be like one of those like a trapped in a place movies where there's going to be an avalanche and the family was going to have to work together to get out or whatever. And it turns out, brief spoilers here, but it happens in the first 10 minutes. There is an avalanche, but it's really not like that big of an avalanche. Like they see it coming and they get really worried that it's going to hit them. Like they're kind of hanging out, eating lunch, chilling out, and they're like, "Oh, look at that avalanche! It's one of those controlled avalanches. Yeah, okay, here it comes. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's getting closer." And then the dad kind of panics and he leaves the family behind. He goes running, and he just leaves them sitting at the table. And then everything goes white. But then it turns out it wasn't really, the avalanche didn't hit them. It just kind of petered out, and the family is left being like, "Oh wow, our dad kind of left us. He just left us. That's really great." And so, I was kind of surprised. It was just basically a straight up drama about the feelings of how the wife and the kids are dealing with their dad, and how he was reacting afterward too, and how he kind of refused to own up to it at first, and that caused a lot of resentment with the kids and the mom, and then when he finally was able to confront it, he kind of, all of his masculinity kind of drained away. That was one of the big themes of the movie, was masculinity and what makes a man. And he kind of, in that moment of pure instinct, his instinct ran. Fight or flight, he ran. And it kind of approached some interesting ideas. I was all of us would hope that we would stick around and help out our family. That would be, ideally, we would do the right thing. And he clearly did the wrong thing. He took off running. He ran. And the movie kind of it addressed a lot of these things, and it kind of showed him working through it and questioning himself as a person and as a man and as a family member, and if he how can he come back from that. So that all that was pretty interesting. Um, you know, my problem with the movie though was that ultimately it was like about a rich wealthy family on vacation. They they ultimately were just at this very fancy hotel, um, just kind of on this ski trip, and ultimately not a lot happened and not a lot changed, and the conflict really wasn't that big of a deal. It was like, dude, if you had just like apologized, said, oops, hopefully I'll be better in the future. Like, I promise I'm going to work on, my instincts or whatever. It would have just, I didn't really see the problem so much. It was kind of like, all right, dude, like, it just still was like just about a rich family on vacation, and that just kind of, it just kind of wasn't that, ultimately wasn't that interesting. Anyway, I mean, that's basically like, had some good acting. There was some good cinematography. It was like, it was supposed to be a comedy a little bit too, and honestly, I didn't really pick up on too much of the French comedy stuff. Really, it was okay. It was like an okay movie. Lane didn't really have too much of an opinion on it. She basically was like, I was actually trying to put her to bed before the movie started, but she kind of, she had taken long naps earlier, and she's kind of sick, and she just, hung out and stayed up with us. So, anyway, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and she's kind of getting hungry, and I'm getting hungry too. So we're gonna go eat some dinner and hang out. Like and subscribe if you liked our videos. Comment, recommend movies for us, and I'll add to my watch list, and maybe me and Lane will watch them. So thanks for watching, and have a great night.